right, welcome back to another episode of the Kick and Cover podcast. I have a very special guest today. I have Chris Tobola from Tomball High School in Tomball, Texas. He is the special teams coordinator there. But we talked before you got on, and we'll get to your background here in a minute. But part reason I wanted to reach out to you because as I told you, I saw Kadudi put out that a lot of us should reach out to you this offseason. He said you were doing fantastic stuff, and like anytime knowledgeable coaches tell me to reach out to somebody, I'm going to, especially when they're in kind of my wheelhouse. And then we've kind of talked before we came on. I mean, you being an OCD on the organization kind of is definitely up my wheelhouse. And that's kind of what we're going to talk today. And as anybody that's watching and not listening to the visual, making special teams special, Tomball organizational plan is kind of what we're going to talk today. But before we get into this, and I think that's, if I remember correctly, like your next slide, kind of your background, if you want to kind of go into kind of how you ended up at Tomball, Coach.
Sure. This is my 21st year. I'm the son of a coach. And so I've traveled all over the state of Texas with him. And then, of course, following in my career, I've been a head coach, defensive coordinator. I was previously the head coach, athletic director at Wortham, small 2A, just outside of Waco. And for the last 3 years, I've been here in Tomball, coached linebackers, and I've been doing the special teams coordinator bit these last 2 years here, and kind of helping set things up. And we had a pretty solid year, and I think a lot of it comes back to the topic that we're going to talk about, this organizational stuff.
Now, I mean, before we kind of get into this, I do want to kind of pick your brain about it. What is it? I mean, because I lived in Texas for a little over 5 years. What is it? I'll rephrase this. What is it like to be the son of a Texas high school football coach?
Oh, it was phenomenal. I mean, that's why I am where I am today. Just being able to go out on Friday nights. They make movies and TV shows about it. Well, it's pretty special. I remember going and seeing double and triple headers in the Astrodome and seeing some of the great teams and a lot of your big time names that have come through the NFL and through Texas high school lore, and some of the great coaches. It's what I've always wanted to do. And every week when you line up in Texas, you're going against great coaches and great athletes, and the traditions and there's a saying here in Texas, last one out, turn out the lights. And it's true. There's a lot of these towns, there's nobody left in the town. The stadiums here are amazing. The facilities, we've got a $50 million stadium coming in. Just down the road from our stadium, we have two schools that are going to share that. It's like no other. I've never coached anywhere else, but I can tell you this: it's going to be hard to change my mind on Texas not being the greatest place to coach high school football.
I think it's pretty hard to argue against it, Coach. I mean, I've coached in Ohio my whole career, but still, we were chit-chatting over DMs while I was visiting down there a couple weeks ago. Just it is Ohio may be my birthplace, but Texas is my adopted home. Especially the San Antonio area. I love that area to death. It's beautiful. There's good football there. Just good people and very good food. Which is an easy way. That's the other thing people forget about the South. The food is a whole different animal there. So Coach, I'm gonna like I've done the past couple episodes. I'm gonna kind of let you kind of get into it, and I'll ask questions and comment where I need to. But you sent me this ahead of time, and Coach, as he goes through this will be some good, fantastic stuff. Coach is extremely organized and they do some very good stuff at Tomball. So, Coach, you can kind of take it away.
Sure. All right. So one of the big things that I want to start off with is our philosophy. And, a lot of people put stuff down on paper, put stuff up on walls, and never really go back to it. We live in this. This is what we do. Okay. This is how we align our practices. This is how we align our philosophies on our teams, and we follow this to a T. And right there at the top, steal time from our opponents. This is the biggest thing I think special teams can do for you in a high school setting. There's lots of great coaches here in the state of Texas, and I'll tell you that. But there's a whole lot that believe in offense and defense and maybe put special teams on the back burner. Not here in Tomball. We're going to put it at the forefront. It's going to fit into our schemes. We are going to steal time. You are going to see different kicks. You are going to see different returns. You're going to see different block schemes each week. And, if you're going to spend 5 minutes on us, we're going to steal something from you. We're going to be efficient in our preparation and our practice time. I just went over the 2020 right before Christmas. 18% of our plays for the year were involving some sort of special teams play. And so if you're willing to give up 20% of the game, more power to you, but that's just not going to be in our mindset. We're just not going to walk out there and coach it up. We're gonna get after it. We're gonna prepare. We're gonna practice to win special teams. We also plan for Plan B, and I think that's one of the big things. We do a lot of stuff, but we also look at the total game plan. We look at every kick. We chart every kick. We're ready for what if they do this. I know it's sometimes it's tough to play the what if game, but I can tell you this year there were several games where the what ifs came into play and we were ready for it. Tricks and gimmicks, we do a lot. I'll be honest with you, we do more. We take more chances than anybody in our little area here, but we also practice the main stuff. If we've got to go out and we've got to get a good return, if we've got to go and cover a punt or something along those lines, we are going to be ready for it. We're not going to go out there and try something all week. It doesn't work, and we're still going to plan on that. We're gonna be ready for something else. One of the biggest things that I saw when I was a young coach is when you had a depth chart, you tried to fill it in. And one of the things that we don't do here in Tomball is we don't try and put 22 players on every team. Yes, you have to have backups. Yes, you have to have the next man up, next man ready. But let's be honest, one guy can fill in for 2 or 3 spots. I've never gotten into a situation where, all 11 of them are hurt. Do you really want to get down to number 18 or number 19 and go, you know what, that's the guy that's going to go save the game for us? And that's pretty tough to do. We're a 6A school. We got decent numbers, but we're still not going to prepare that many kids. We're gonna cross train them, teach them quite a bit, get them ready to go. There's kids every year that deserve to be on that field. But we also have to win football games in the state of Texas, and that's a big deal for us. One of the biggest things, and I'm going to work to do a little bit better job on this in our middle schools, but our sub-varsity levels, we do everything with the sub-varsity that we do ourselves on the varsity. We all coach the sub-varsity. We take our time. They do the same kicks, the same things that we do, and they don't get left out in this. One of the biggest problems I ever have is we line up to practice freshman level, and we don't have a deep snapper. Well, we have two teams, two junior high teams in our district. How do we not have one deep snapper? Okay? If you can't throw the ball, okay, you're not going to stop throwing it. You're going to find somebody who can throw it. Yeah. So let's find somebody that can deep snap. Let's find somebody that can kick. Let's find somebody that can punt. And a lot of those times, if you've got a guy, you can mold a guy. We've got, you mentioned Coach Caduti. Coach Caduti does a great job with our snappers. We've been very fortunate the last 3 years to have a good kicker. We've got good punters going. And so all of those things, if you build it from the bottom floor, then you don't have to worry about having an off year or saying, we're going to have to change our special teams philosophy because we don't have some of that. And so that's one of our biggest deals, is to make sure we build it from the ground floor. Just being down the road from College Station, this is kind of our version of the 12th man. And if you look at it, these are our four main special teams. And if you look, there's a lot of second and third teamers on there. It's not a true 12th man, everybody's a backup kind of deal. But in these situations, we're getting kids on the field and they're making an identity for themselves. These second and third teamers, they're not out there because we're just putting them out there. They're out there because they want to be out there. And they want to be a part of it. And this might be their only chance to get on the field. And I can tell you right now, I can speak for the kickoff team. We had several kids. This was what they did. They were on the kickoff team, and they would knock the snot out of you. They would cover like their pants were on fire. And so you take those kids, you give them a little piece of the pie and let them run with it. And now you're getting more kids on the field. They're building up an identity. They're building up some pride. They know their roles, and now it becomes a team atmosphere, and not so much offense and defense. It's all together in this situation. So, coach's expectations, and I'm not going to read all this to you. You can kind of check it out as I'm going, but the expectations, be in charge of your groups. We do a lot of things with Huddle nowadays. Huddle is it gets a bad rap a lot of times with its deals, and the money and things, but Huddle does a great job keeping film in our kids' hands. I still remember handing kids VHS tapes and telling them, watch this weekend, and sitting there and working all night trying to have enough copies where you could get, groups of 3 or 4 kids with a copy. And so with Huddle, there's no reason we're not watching special teams. There's no reason we're not watching offense and defense and preparing like we should. We use this. We film all of our practices. We film all of our special teams. So we use this frequently. I'll go into our special teams weekly schedule, and we'll talk about how we practice and those kind of things here in just a little bit. But that gives us an opportunity to correct it before we go back out. Game corrections, we don't have a whole lot of time to go through the game on special teams. So we need to be able to correct that. And then, of course, scout stuff. We do GroupMe, which is one of the better apps. It's just a group text. You can send videos. You can send
polls, all kinds of stuff on it, Coach. We use it as well.
You can send all kinds of different things, questions, and all those kind of deals. And so we do a lot of communication per our groups. I also like to send the pictures of the kickoffs and different things and schemes. These kids are on their phones. They're lying to you if they say they're not on their phone and don't have capabilities of seeing this stuff. They watch Huddle all the time on their phone. They're on Snapchats and everything else. So might as well use that device to help yourself. Work responsibilities. We have 10-minute practice periods. We want to make sure that we're getting 10 minutes out of it. If we can get what we need done in less than 10 minutes, then let's roll. But we need to make sure that we're efficient, we stay on time. Tag our practice clips, and we'll talk more about that. Monitor injuries and illnesses. This is a huge deal when it comes to organization and our layout. On Sundays, we turn in a personnel sheet for the week. And it is on a Google Drive, and we consistently, we may get through Wednesday and we've had to make a change. It's unbelievable. You've got an injury, you've got a sprain, we're moving this guy to here, there, and everywhere. And so having that opportunity for the coaches to monitor that and make changes throughout the week has been huge for us. And I don't know if there was a week where we didn't make some changes throughout the week. We'll finalize the personnel groups by 8 p.m. on Wednesday, and then they have to come through me. And the only reason for that is I want to know what's going on, and I want to make sure that I have my mind wrapped around it. Friday nights, we verify the personnel. It's during special teams meeting, and then all solutions during the game, they come to me. I have an assistant that watches our depth chart, and it's got to go through me or him. We don't want breakdowns on communication. We don't want, well, I told Coach, did you tell me? Did you tell Coach Marshall? And so on. So we do a lot of those things. It's got to come to me. That keeps the 15 other coaches out of the way. Saturdays, we input all of our special teams plays. It's downloaded by 8 a.m. We get that set and ready to go. And we want to be able to tag those because we're going to have a special teams meeting at 9:30 that morning. And we want to be able to look at some of our plays. It's a quick meeting, about 20 minutes, but we want to be able to brag about them. We want to have some special recognition. We don't do award decals and things like that. So this is kind of our time to kind of brag about the special teams a little bit. And we'll also make some corrections. And we can definitely make some corrections later in the day and send them on the group meet. On Sunday, we do a lot of our game planning, personnel, and practice plans. This is all due by 4 on Sundays. And the reason for 4 is because I'm going to go over it. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to ask questions if I have any questions. And then we're going to roll it out usually by 7 to 8 o'clock. Our special teams unit has it in their Google Classroom. Has all the breakdown for the special teams. All the game plans are all set and ready to go. And it's amazing. You walk out there Monday and you're ready to start because those kids have already looked at it. Those kids have already had some sort of idea of what's fixing to happen. And, I'm not going to say that happened overnight. When we first started it, you could catch a couple of kids. Hey, did you look? Nah, Coach, I didn't. It's very rare that we catch a kid now that hasn't looked over some of the things and understands kind of the concepts. And a lot of them will have already sent text messages and questions by the time we get into Monday. So that's been a huge deal for us. But that's our coaches kind of throughout the week. That's kind of our breakdown of that. And then when you look at our coaches organization, these are all of our varsity coaches. And like I said, we all coach varsity and JV. And if you'll look, the head football coach is right there. And this is one thing that we do that I think is a big deal. nobody shies away from the special teams. This is a group effort. We do a great job as a group working the special teams. Team execution, that's going to be our punt team. I'm right here in charge of the punt return and the kickoff. We've got our kickoff return, return team, which is Team 6, our block squad, and then our Legion of Boom, which is our PAT. And so you look, we've divided these out. You can see our head football coach, our OC, and our DC are all out here coaching it up. And that's one of the best things that we've done is we've got everybody involved. Everybody's excited. Everybody's coaching it up. The kids are buying into it because every coach is coaching their tail off. And so this is kind of our organizational chart. One of the biggest things you've got to do, in my opinion, is you've got to set a scout team. I've been places where you focused on the team itself, and then you told the guys, hey, give me 6, 4, 3, whatever, and get it out there. Well, it's not going to look that way. Send them some film. Send them a cut up. Draw it out. Get on the board. You know what's coming. We do the same thing each week, so be prepared. Take pride in what you do. These scout team guys do a phenomenal job. Getting us set up, getting us ready, getting us looks. We chart the snap on punts. We look for movements. We time everything. The scout team coaches have it down to a T. Okay, and that's huge for us because now we can go coach our kids and we don't have to worry about getting the scout team set and ready to go. So that's one of the biggest things. If you take nothing out of this, organize your scout teams. That's huge when it comes to the organization.
Now, Coach, I have a funny comment because I can't resist myself, and then 2, I have a question.
Okay.
First, I'm glad you didn't put Kadudi in charge of any of these because then you'd try to figure out how to run wide zone out of like punt or kick return. 2, do you try, in curiosity, try to give coaches like 1 or 2 off here or there so they're not doing all of them? Is there like a cap? Is like how do you structure that without overworking a coach or?
Well, in all honesty, what we do is on punt and punt return, that's all one day. Kickoff return is one day.
Okay.
And so usually how it works out is you're coaching it up and then you're off, or you're coaching it up and then you're a scout guy.
Okay.
More times than not, we have 2 scout coaches. If you look like kickoff return, Coach Handel and myself are scout team guys. Well, we're the only ones really not involved down there. Pretty simple, set up 5 and 5, let's run down the field, those kind of things. But I think it goes back to buy-in. I don't really think we see it as that big a deal. Yeah. I don't see it as, overworking, because if you're working for that 10 minutes and you're busting it, those kids are getting better and that time is flying by.
All right.
And, and again, everybody has something to do. Everybody's bought in and we're rolling. So hope that answers that.
Well, it did. Thank you, Coach.
All right, perfect. All right, some of our goals. And so when we look at our goals are going to be a lot different than anybody else's. I think some of our goals are seen as unattainable to some people, because if you look at our team execution, one of our goals here is a successful fake or turnover. And you're sitting there going, well, how many times are you going to do that a game? Well, we're going to.
I love it, Coach. I love it.
We're going to. And so we expect this. This is something we expect. Team execution, we want a 35-plus net average, okay? And we're going to go into some of these things. But we want to change the field 35 yards. Okay, if we can do that. A pin inside the 10 equals a 40-yarder, and that's just for stat purposes. We want to be under 3 yards per return, and I think we were 1.6 this year. So that's for the year 1.6. So that's pretty good. Average start at the 30-yard line. And this one actually got us into some trouble this year because we did a lot more onside kicks this year because we had a kicker that was just real good at it. And we kicked more onside kicks than we ever have this year. And so sometimes they got it at the 34, sometimes they got it at the 40 or whatever. But scoring-wise, this didn't really affect us. Force a turnover, yep, that's our goal. Force a turnover on a kickoff, and you're sitting here going, oh, I don't understand why you set that as a goal. That's got to be impossible. We had 11 turnovers on kickoff this year, and we had 4 in a row, 2 to end the game and 2 to start a game. And so that's kind of a big deal for us. That's one of our things with the punt and the kickoff. No blocks, 100% on snaps, 100% on kicks. That's pretty standard. Field all of our punts, called returns, and we put called returns in. We are a 10-man on the line, come and get it. We're looking to smoke you. If we can't block it, we want you to shank it. That's our goal. And, we only blocked 2 punts this year, but we had a whole lot more shanks. And the thing is, there is no punter that's going to line up on our schedule and say they're not coming, because we're coming. And so he knows he's got to catch it, kick it, and get rid of it. And so that again is working in the mindset. These are teenage kids. That's a lot of pressure. Catch it cleanly and then get it off. We've seen more bad punts this year than we ever have.
Hey,
no
Coach,
negative yards. Go ahead.
have you found that with how much pressure you give, teams won't really try a fake on you because they're too worried about getting the kickoff?
We hadn't had one.
Yeah, I've been a very pressure-oriented punt block the past 2 years. I haven't seen one fake. So I was just curious if you've seen any. Okay.
We did not see a fake this year. We do have wrinkles where we drop certain people, but there are times where we're bringing our dudes.
Okay.
And a lot of times people are concerned with just getting the punt off and going from there. And again, if we can force a shank, I'll take a shank. We want to change the field position as little as possible.
Yeah.
No negative yards, and I'm going to talk about hidden yards here in just a sec. That's one of the good things I think we've done in a while. These last couple of years, we worked really hard on hidden yards. Field goal kick balls. One of my earlier years of going to clinics, they always talked, well, if you run the wing T, then you're going to run a defense that knows how to stop the wing T. Well, if we're going to kick onside kicks and pooches and everything else, then, in my opinion, our kickoff return better know how to stop all that. And so that's a big one right there is we're going to field all kick balls. So I love it when people try an onside kick against us because, well, we've practiced that for 20, 30 minutes this week. And we practice it because that's what we do. And so it's kind of a big deal right there. We had no turnovers on our kickoff return. And then our block squad, no fakes. Block or force a bad kick. Force a bad kick, that's a huge deal. We won a game on forcing a bad kick with no time on the clock and no substitution errors. So if you look at our unit goals, they're a lot different than everybody else's. A lot of them are are stat-based and things like that. Ours, ours are we're trying to get the ball back. or we're trying to force the other team in a bad situation. And so that's kind of our identity moving forward. So this is hidden yards, and this is something I really like. This is not mine. I stole this from somebody, and I'm not afraid to say that. But this really puts things in perspective. And so when you look over here at the totals, this right here was like 60 last year. And so that's a huge difference. And this was like negative. I want to say it was in the negatives. It was 85 or something along those lines. So those are some big things that we have changed. And so on this, basically what we have is we're going to change on punt, 35-yard punts. Anything better than that is plus. Anything less than that is negative. Punt return, anything less than 35 is a plus. Anything more is a negative. And then the 30-yard line, we start everything at the 30-yard line with kickoff. If we go back, it's positive. If we go back here, it's negative. Obvious reasons. And then one of the things that we changed, that's my bad.
You're good, Coach.
One of the things that we changed was we had to come up with something that benefited us running fakes and getting turnovers. And so what we did is any turnover from the line of scrimmage to the end of the drive or where the opponent starts the next drive. So say we get a fake, or say we get a turnover and we get it at the 40-yard line, we drive down and score. Well, we get 60 points. We get 60 plus yards there. But if we go and get it at the 40 and we drive down and turn it over on downs and we only got 8 more yards, well, then we get it from the 40 to that, add that plus 8 to it. And so what it does is it gives us that opportunity. Did we successfully get a turnover and change the field? Yes or no. And so when we look at this, obviously red is bad, and you look, our punt, 203 yards. That's over 150% better than last year. I already told you this one has been huge. And if you look, here's the wins and losses that goes with it. And so when you start really looking at it in the negative yards, we were only in 2 games, we were only at negative yards. I truly believe if you're positive, you got a strong chance of winning.
Yeah.
On special teams. You've won special teams for that day. And so it's a big deal. And this is one of the biggest things that we've done and makes the most sense. I mean, you can put stats and things out there. And when you look at our kickoff, it doesn't look great. But out of 58 kicks, we had 11 turnovers. It's pretty impressive when you start looking at it. Okay, so this is one of our big deals. And when we talk about hidden yards, that was one of our things. So here's what we do. And I think these 2 things right here are the biggest things that come about this year. Points from special teams. We outscored our opponents 124 to 56. And then extra possessions from special teams, 17. And our opponents, 0.
That, to me, that's the key statistic right there, Coach. Like, when you can force yourself to have 17 extra possessions, especially when your opponent gets none, like that is even I don't know how many you scored off that 17, but statistically, even if you only score on a third of those, I mean, just a swing there is tremendous.
Absolutely, and that's one of the big deals when you start looking at it. Successful fakes and turnovers, onside kicks. When you go 17-0, that's huge. That means we didn't allow anything either.
Yeah.
And so that's a big deal. when it starts looking at our defensive side. Not allowing turnovers ourselves, that's huge. That's a big deal. And so, punt team, 25 punts, 32.5 average, 2 blocks, no fakes on the punt return, 23-yard opponent average punt. So when we talk about shank punts, if you're going to line up and punt and you're only getting 23 yards, I'll take it every day of the week. That's a pretty good deal. We only blocked 2, but a 23-yard average is not a very good average in my book.
No, it's I would define that as horrendous, Coach.
58 kicks, 17 formations, and this is a big deal on our kickoff. I use cards, like scout team cards. All our kids know is what number they are. And so when we go into the week, they know they're number 1, 2, 3, all the way to 10, and they know if they're the kicker. And I'll use that in just a sec. I'll talk about the kicker thing. But all they have to do is they know where they fit, and they know where to line up based on the card. Our 1 through 5s all have specific fits. They're our first line. 6 through 9 is our second line. They have specific fits. I can shake it up, throw them out. They can line up wherever they want, and we can still cover kicks. So those 17 formations, that didn't take any extra time. Okay, it's all on a card. 21 onside kicks, we got 10. 10 successful onside kicks, 6-yard return average, and we gave up a touchdown this year. We kicked one deep. They brought everybody up. They kicked one deep. Or we kicked one deep. They ran down there, got it. We fell down, and they creased us. But we still only gave up 6 yards for the year.
I will say roughly a 50% average on onside kicks is pretty impressive, Coach.
Yeah.
I mean, that is, yeah, I don't have any smart words for that. That's just impressive.
Well, and I can tell you this, with just these 2 teams, our punt team and our kickoff team, the last 3 games of the season, nobody put a returner back on punt.
That's awesome.
Because we're going to run fakes. And so we were kicking to open fields. And it's pretty simple to hit, your punter, tell your punter, hey, kick it right down the middle. Because there's nobody back there. That's pretty impressive. And then when you line up and nobody has a return set up for you, and you look out there and you say, well, those guys aren't the same guys they've played with the last 4 or 5 weeks, because they put in all their first-team receivers, all their first-team DBs. They're all out there trying to catch onside kicks. Well, they're not going to block anybody, and they're not going to run returns. So that's a big deal for us. Kickoff return, we did take one to the house. Our average start was a 32-yard line and no turnovers. Huge again. 31 of 32 on conversions, 6 of 8 successful field goals, a long of 36, and we ran a successful fake. I have a sophomore kicker. So these numbers are huge for us. This is a big deal for us. That this kid who wasn't even going to be our kicker, he was a JV safety at the beginning of the year, comes over and is this productive. It was huge for us.
Yeah.
Our opponents only converted 86% on their kicks. We allowed no fakes, and we blocked 2 kicks. So it's what we do, and that's our big deal. This is what we hang our hats on. This is why we take so much time in our organization and our efforts to put out numbers like this. I can tell you right now, there were 3 games this year that special teams was the deciding factor, and that's huge for us. So let's go into our weekly schedule. And if you look at this is how we steal our time. Sundays, we've already talked about Sundays and Saturdays, but this is how we set it up. And if you look, our four major ones, punt return, kickoff return, they're getting 28 minutes a week of practice time. That's huge. And over here, PAT block, it says 5 minutes, but there's some hidden time in here. We work blocks during our individual stuff, and we also work all of our movement. We're shift teams. We don't run swinging gate or any of those kind of things, but we do a lot of movements, a lot of shifts. We'll send motions, different things, and we work in this during our specialty periods. So we actually get a little bit more time than that. So here's a normal Monday. And our Monday, like I said, is our punt return. And I'll go through this, pretty quickly, and we can talk about more if you need to. But our school, we get out at 2:35, practice meetings, specialty stretch and warm up. That starts at 2:55. At 3 o'clock, we're working. And so our punters, snappers, and punt returners, they're all working normal punts and pressure punts. Remember, we're a rugby team, so we're working guys off the edge and pressure and things like that. And we're also working our punt blockers. And I got this from somebody else. We work on a goalpost. We have a volleyball on a string with some duct tape, as redneck as you can get, I guess.
Oh, I love it.
We swing the volleyball, and that's what our block point. And so we adjust our block point for punt. Obviously, we raise it up a little bit. Later in the week, when we work our PATs, we lower it, but that's where we're working our block points. And so we're already teaching our blockers, in this case, we're already teaching them where the block point's going to be and their get-offs off of a live snap. So that's kind of a big deal. Our punter is our quarterback. So I have the kicker with me. And the kicker and the upbacks and the ends, which is our second level on kickoffs, they're working pooches and deep pooches. Well, our kicker's getting work in, and our returners are getting work in. So we're getting 15 minutes of pure work in here. Then we'll do an offensive, defensive pre-practice walkthrough, and then we will come back and start practice. And so we start practice with punt, 5 minutes of individual, 5 minutes of team. Our front line, they work base and combo blocks. Because we are a rugby team, we block a little different. We don't have man sides and zone sides and things like that. We actually work combos, and it looks a lot like a run block team. We work our gunners on releases and pursuits. And, of course, now we can work two things. We can work our gunners, and we can also work our corners on releases as well. Snappers, protectors, punters, we're working our fake footwork, our options, and our passes. So for 5 minutes, we're working option, or we're working our passes, or we've thrown to the center, we've thrown to the guard. I mean, you name it, we're going to fake it. And so we work on all that. It's not just something we dream up, draw it up, throw it. They're working it that 5 minutes, and then we'll come together. We'll run our normals, our specials, and our fakes for another 5 minutes. Then we go punt return. Like I said, we're a in-your-face pressure team. So 2 through 9, they're working block point and return leverage. Our gunners are working press and follow techniques, and our returners are working ball receiving. Everybody does the same drills. You put a towel behind them, you beat them with pool noodles, all that kind of stuff. This is those times to work those individuals, and then we'll go block, returns, and specials. And notice we say blocks, because that's what we're going for. Very rarely will we say return. We're going to get it.
Oh yeah, like during the game, I yell punt block. I don't yell punt return. Punt return.
Yes.
I what was
Well,
I saying?
I got it from FSU from Florida State years and years and years ago, and so we call it FSU.
To me,
And
it's a
they know,
mentality
here we
thing.
go. And so we have a code word that tells them if we want to return it.
Yeah.
But I can tell you this: I don't remember calling it once this year. We did run a special return. We had it set up, and our pressure got to him, and he shanked it. But it was a touchdown, I can tell you that. Offensive coaches always say it was one block away. Well, this was a touchdown if we could have got it off. But so Tuesday, one of the good things we do here is an after-school meal on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So this gives our kids a little time to get a meal and then get down. We start again 2:55. Same thing. Only this time our punters, snappers, and punt returners are going to work pins and rolls. With our rugby punt, we are going to try and kick you with the ball. So as you're running down the field, we will try and smoke you with the ball and let it roll up on you, and then, hey, that's a turnover. And then we will work pins, just like everybody, get to the goal line and work on keeping it out of the end zone. Deep returners, returners and reverses, they'll be working in the back. We do run reverses. We do run fake reverses. So they'll work all of that. And then our kickers are going to work onside punches and more pooches. And so when we do this is going to be our frontline guys. So we bring our frontline guys over, and they're catching the onside kicks and the punches and the pooches from our kicker. So when we talked about it earlier, not giving up anything, well, we're not giving up anything because we practice it.
Yeah.
And so that's a huge deal for us. Kickoff 1 through 10s working different drills. We have some, similar drills to everybody. Cut the string, avoid butt side, get back on the line, press it up and get off, and then a combo coverage. And then our kicker and myself, we're working specialty kicks. So these are all the funny things that we've decided to come up with. And we'll lay it down on the ground sideways. We'll put it up, lean up against the tee. We'll kick it with somebody else. Our kicker missed the last game of the year. I had 2 kickers that had practiced all year that were backup linebackers. One of them was my son, and he kicked the entire last game, and all we did was onside kick, and we got 2 out of the 5. So we have guys ready. We work our special teams, our specialty kicks throughout the week. We have a 2-kicker lineup, a 3-kicker lineup, and then a hide the kicker. So we got different guys that'll kick the ball, and that's where we'll practice it. We'll do the kicks of the weeks and the pooches. Notice we don't kick deep in practice. The only times we ever kick deep is during our special teams periods. We cover pooches and we cover the kicks of the week. That's our trademark. And then kickoff return, they're working their drops and leverage drills, landmarks and timing, returners, working the ball receiving, and then we'll go right, left, pooch, and all our specials. Wednesday, Wednesday you start backing off of the week. We play on Fridays every week. This year we actually played on 2 Thursdays, so it changed us up a little bit. But same as always. Now the snappers and kickers are working PATs and field goals. We're working get-offs with the volleyball again. And then all of our extra kickers. So all my kickers that are not the true kickers, since my kicker's down here kicking PATs, all my slaps that think they can kick, they come down there with me and we start kicking funny kicks. And we practice it and we work with it. And we have a lot of fun with it. We go to punt and punt return. These are all team. We've done our teaching for the week. PAT and field goals at the end of practice. So we'll go through our entire practice. and then PAT and PAT block will be at the end. And, we'll do all of our wrinkles and our 4 field goals. And then our PAT block will come back with alignments and our blocks right and left. And so we block right and left, but we block differently each week. We try and find the gaps. We try and find the creases, and we use that. We're never going to line up and block it the same way. So again, practice and preparation. Thursday, we actually go during the periods on Thursday and Friday. During the week, we have some virtual kids that don't come to school. They're at home virtually, and they are not allowed on campus until after school. So we don't do a whole lot with them because of the week. We don't get to do a whole lot with them during the period. So we do a lot of weights and individual work. So Thursdays and Fridays, we actually do some kickoff and kickoff return during the period. This is the first time we do work that. And we'll go kickoff and kickoff return. And this is going to be all of our funny stuff. We'll go the whole gamut. I'll run everything I can in 10 minutes. Then kickoff return will come out. They'll do all of theirs, and we'll work onside recovery as a team. We'll do our offense and defensive work walkthroughs, and then we'll come back and have a special teams meeting. And so we have an athletic period, and then we have an advisory period, then lunch. So during that advisory period, we go a short special teams meeting, just kind of a wrap up, ask any questions, finish it up, and then we release them to lunch. And then Friday, we go during the period. This is the best thing we do right here is Fridays. I've been a lot of places where you packed your bag and you got set and ready to go. We actually go out on Fridays. Rain or shine, we're out on Fridays. So we go through kickoff return, kickoff punt return one more time. We review offense and defense, and then we do a sideline script. This is the best thing right here. This is the best thing for the week. The goal is under 8 minutes. Coach Flanagan, our head coach, will put it on his phone. I'll yell it out. Kickoff return will come out. There's no coaching in this. They're going to go through kickoff return. Kadudi will run an offensive play.
Wide zone.
Of course, wide zone. Go PAT, kickoff, and we'll go down the list and run everything on and off the field, making sure no substitution errors. If we do have a substitution error or we do have an issue, we run it again. And, the kids can really see at the end, we're out of time. We weren't focused. We weren't ready to go. And I want to say maybe 2 or 3 times this year, we actually ran over. And when I say ran over, we ran maybe 10, 15 seconds over. So that's a huge deal. It's very competitive for me. This is kind of my blood pressure time. I get going pretty good on this. And then we, of course, finish with a no-time field goal. And we actually had to run one of those and ran it on the JV this year. Awesome. So ran a no-time field goal with the JV, and so that's, again, it's what we do, it's what we practice. We're prepared and organized for that.
Hey,
so
Coach.
That's a big deal.
Coach, what is the philosophy behind doing that on Friday instead of maybe like a Thursday, the sideline script? Why do you guys do that on Friday?
Well, to me, it gets us out and keeps us focused. I've seen it done different ways. We've done it on Thursdays and things like that. We don't do anything after school on Thursdays because we all coach JV. And so we're going to JV games or freshman games or whatever it may be. So we give them off. We have some different meetings and things in the Thursday afternoons, but we come back Friday and kind of go through it one more time and kind of check off the boxes. I think it keeps them focused. I think it keeps them going. And by Friday morning, all the personnel changes have been made. Everything's locked and loaded. We're ready to go. And it's one more time just to kind of review and get it going.
Okay.
And then I won't see them until, game time. Game time, we will we'll go out pregame. I don't script pregame. We do this, similar pregame that everybody does. You kick a little, you punt a little. With a sophomore kicker, I just kind of monitor him. I don't really say, hey, I need this done, this done. He is extremely hard on himself. And so I just kind of monitor him. And if he's not feeling it, then I'll make him do something a little different. I'll try and keep his mind right in the game. Now, one thing that we do that probably not a whole lot of people do, we kick onside kicks in pregame warm-up. We will roll kicks, and we will run our funny stuff because if you've watched any film during the week, you know it's coming. So we are going to practice it. We don't want the first kick when we need it to be a shank or for the kicker to be nervous. We will roll some during warm-ups and those kind of things and get him going and get him ready and prepared. And so that's kind of our deal. And then, we're locked and loaded and everything is set and ready to go. Everybody knows who's on, and that's their time to shine. It's Friday nights.
Well, Coach, I kicked a couple.
Go ahead.
I kicked a couple onsides this year pregame as well. Not every game, but there's a couple games where, one, to mess with my opponent when they saw us doing it. Two, there was a chance. I knew there was a chance we may need it, and that's where I just wanted to get him some reps, get some ready to go.
Yeah. Well, you line up and you kick off a tee, you kick off a tee, and then you tell him, hey, man, I need you to roll this one. And his eyes get, big around his basketballs. It doesn't. That's not putting ourselves in a successful situation.
Yeah.
So we'll roll a few, get him loosened up, ready to go. And we're lucky he's a kicker, and that's it. And I know not everybody has that, but we're fortunate enough to have that. And so he's ready to go and ready to rock. He was a sophomore this year, so I'm excited next year. Be doing a little more fun stuff with him. He's already contacted me what I got ready for him, and so I've already talked to him. We already got the first onside kick set for next year. So the time is ticking right now. But I'll finish this up on Saturdays. We do our special teams clips. It's about 3 minutes. We go through everybody. One of our big deals is you got to find a positive. With special teams, a lot of these kids don't play a lot. Find something positive, and let's pat them on the back. Let's get them excited about playing special teams. You can see the teams that will play. You can see who special teams is just not a big deal. You can see the way the kids carry themselves, the way they handle themselves. We're going to coach it up. And we're going to spread the love on Saturdays. And then, of course, lift, run, film review, and we start it all over again. So that's all I got. If you got some questions, I'm all ears.
Now, how much, because you said you've done this kind of unofficially, officially for 3 years. You're the big organization guy. How much has this, at least the coaching aspect in terms of who does what, morph over those 3 years?
Well, we've been doing it similar in similar situations, but we always got to the point where we'd look out and one dude was working and everybody else was kind of watching. And so this year we really stressed, hey, this is how we're going to organize it. Everybody coach it. Nobody stand around, and let's get through it. the buy-in was unbelievable. I'll be honest with you. This is one of the best staffs I've ever worked on, knowledge-wise, offense, defense, and then when you come to them with some special teams ideas, and they're like, "Let's do it." It makes life easy. I'm the coordinator, but I coach it up too. I coach the scout teams and everything else. And so when you're willing to do it yourself, I think everybody else is willing to buy in, and that makes it huge. This year was the best year we've had, where everybody, was in place. Everybody was set. Everybody communicated. I don't think there was one time where we walked out there and it was just, a disaster waiting to happen. Well, we weren't ready for this. We weren't prepared here, there, or anywhere. And it's exciting. If you see our films, I can tell you nobody's sitting down on the bench during kickoffs. Every coach, everybody's eyes are glued to the field and seeing what's fixing to happen. It's been fun. It's been fun, and that's the biggest thing, I think, is for the kids this year.
Now, the other thing is, you said you've been doing this for roughly, I think, 20 years is what you said, and change. How much has your special teams philosophy changed over that 20 years as being a former head coach and stuff?
Well, the biggest deal was, as a young coach, you had a lot of cool ideas, but you got to the point where it was like you were nervous to call them. And now, as I've gotten older, I have faith in some of the calls, because I know that I've done my research. I know that I've done, I've done my scouting. I've done the things necessary for this to work. But I also understand the concept of, if we do a good job at it, we can steal some time, we can steal some points. And so that's kind of been a big deal for me. I've coached in some of the smaller schools, and I guarantee you special teams has been on the back burner at a lot of schools that we've played. And it's given us some opportunities to be in games maybe that we weren't supposed to be in. It's given us some opportunities to even win some games. And so I guess evolving, I've gotten a little more guts in me as opposed to the nervousness and maybe the worrying of doing it wrong, I guess.
No, I get you 100% on that. And then, in terms of preparation, because you're extremely organized, and scouting, how much time do you spend the off season scouting and prepping for? I mean, obviously your opponents change a little bit every year, and I know you guys redistrict every 2 years or 3 years or
2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
So go ahead.
So like this year. It's easy because we're going to play the same people next year. So we'll start, I'll start breaking all that stuff down. I've already made some notes and different things. I'll draw it all out. I'll have folders set and ready to go. Because again, like I was telling you earlier, and like I said earlier, a lot of teams show a particular return or a particular defense against us that they haven't shown any other time. So having an idea of what people are going to do to us is what we need. It's like teams that line up in crazy formations. Well, you're not going to know how people line up to you because nobody else lines up in those formations. Yeah. So you kind of have to stockpile your own scouting reports and your own ideas and try and figure out why they're doing things the way they're doing it. And have, again, plan B. Yeah. So, but, overall, I'm going to look at the things that worked for us, and critique some drills. being on some of these the podcasts and different things and listening to other guys and trying to steal some things from them. But the thing about high school is we're replacing a lot of kids each year.
Yeah.
And so, those 11 guys that I had running down on kickoff, I don't have all 11 of those guys again. So now I've got to start looking and watching mat drills and all these other things and seeing which kids are going to get after it and fight for the ball and be willing to, knock some heads around and cover things. And so that's where the evaluation comes in. Now I got to start looking at kids and maybe some temperament. Who's willing to go and sacrifice a little bit, who might not be in our necessarily our game plan when it comes to offense and defense.
Okay. And then and you mentioned drills there. What's too much for you in terms of drills? How many drills? How much do you try to retain the same drills and just modify them from year to year if they didn't work?
My deal is on drills, if it's not going to relate to the game, then we're not going to do it.
Okay.
When I look over at our punt team drills are doing drills that are specifically going to happen in games. Our kickoff drills, our kickoff return drills, all of our drills are very specific into what we do and our identity. Everybody's been there. Everybody's been with the coach that's drill a day that has come up with a new drill every day.
Yep.
And you're like, why do you do that drill? And if you can't answer why you do that drill, then you don't need to do that drill. And so what we do is we really focus on what things we're going to see when it comes down to it. We're going to be very specific in it. We're not going to drill you to death. We got 5 minutes of drill work, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to look for the results out of those drills.
Okay. Well, Coach, first I want to say thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. I thought it was great. Like I said, if anybody wants to get a hold of Coach, if you're listening through Anchor, Spotify, or any of the other apps, his contact information will be in the bio. I'll put it all on there too. If you are watching on YouTube, obviously it's on the screen, but it'll also be on the bio if it's easier for you to highlight, copy, paste, all that lovely stuff. Send him emails or tweet at him. Follow Coach, like his stuff. Get a hold of him. Coach is a great dude. They do some good things out there in Tomball. And like I said, I just appreciate everybody. If you wouldn't mind liking and subscribing, that would help this keep going in general. And then, again, we will be back. I can't even speak right now. We'll be back next week for another episode of the Kick Cutter Podcast. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it. And Happy New Year to you, Coach.
You too, man. We'll see you.